Aaron Wilson covers the Texans for the Houston Chronicle, kind enough to join us on short notice. Aaron, update us on when these allegations were first made public with Deshaun Watson.
Just 2 days ago, Dan, Tony Busby who unsuccessfully ran for mayor and is a member of the Texas A&M Board of Trustees, very prominent lawyer, very wealthy lawyer. He filed the lawsuit. He announced it first, it was a little unusual, on Instagram, saying that the lawsuit had been filed. It had not been filed. It was filed the next morning. The previous to that, they had, in fact, I was told, sought money. The woman that had made the first allegation that Deshaun Watson had sexually harassed her, et cetera, in a massage, and all the details have been outlined in the lawsuit. But that was the timeline. So after that happened, then subsequently he files it in Harris County District Court, and it only costs like $325 to file a lawsuit. And the allegations are made. There's no documents, the text message of an apology after their exchange, and that's not present. I don't know if that will happen at discovery, if it in fact exists, if it does. So there's that, and Deshaun reacts to it on social, denies doing anything disrespectful to any woman. It's basically a blanket statement. And what's now happened is, after the initial one, he's asking for anyone else to come forward, and that he hasn't filed the second lawsuit. That's what happened yesterday. So he comes out with a second lawsuit alleging that Deshaun Watson flew in a woman from Atlanta to meet him at the Estonia, which is a very fancy spa and hotel and kind of like a place that other rich folks in Houston hang out. It's a kind of a country club aspect to it. And, alleging that there was this different type of situation, different massage, but different woman. And so now he's saying he has 6, and he's going to file 6 lawsuits, is what Tony Busby has stated on Instagram. And so we're expecting another filing today. And he says this one will be, have some, a lot of, obviously, very salacious details, kind of like the last one, which I thought was, very, graphic in nature, and some of the stuff is kind of like hard to repeat just on a family radio show. But yeah, it was, definitely a very raw portrayal. And again, only allegations, all unproven, all civil. My understanding is that never, ever were the police called. No allegations were made to try to make it a criminal matter. And like Deshaun said, my understanding is it's been a money grab from the start, especially with the first alleged victim, Jane Doe. Both of these are going to be Jane Does. They'll all be apparently Jane Does. There won't be a name attached.
What about the football side of this, though, Aaron? The timing of this, we have the draft coming up next month. You have the possibility of Deshaun not playing for the team. Tyrod Taylor gets signed. Is this all coincidence that it's all kind of converging right now? And what's this do for the so-called trade market for Deshaun Watson?
Right. There have been a lot of conspiracy theories on social media about the timing, including Tyrod Taylor being signed hours before. My understanding is that is coincidental because they always intended to address the quarterback position. The way it affects trade value is if there's an NFL investigation. They have really, when you look at the NFL, their response yesterday was, they have no comment on it, and so they're not at a stage where I think they're doing anything. They may never do anything. They may just view it as a civil matter that they don't want to, address. It could be handled that way. It could be handled in a different way, depending on how they feel about it. What's the outcome? What if he settled? What would happen? Would they then look at it as something like, well, is that an admission? Do we need to look into this more? Should they monitor everything? In terms of the trade market, the teams are still interested. I know that for a fact, and that has not changed. Would it change the terms? No, if they were to get to a point where they're negotiating. The Texans are just in a listening mode and or telling people, no, we're not interested. They're still steadfast in not told him, and he will not play for them again. He has made that unequivocally clear, Dan, that he has no intention to ever play another down, is the way he's put it to friends, for the Texans. He's really intentional in that, and he told David Culley that. So, that's all been communicated.
Do you think that he's traded? If he's traded, it's before the draft?
I think there's a very good chance that he could be held on to. Dan, I wouldn't assume anything. This is a moving, fluid situation. It makes the most logical sense, and everyone knows that the value is the highest, and then you know what the picks are. If you do it later, if you do it in 2022, then it's not the same kind of terms. And it does set, as I've been told many times, a terrible precedent if a player can, essentially force himself out. And I would not rule out the Texans playing hardball.
Can you put it in simplistic terms here, Aaron? What is Deshaun Watson's problem with the franchise? Is it on the field or off the field?
It's off the field that his trust in them and his feelings about how business was conducted and the state of the franchise and his interactions, obviously, with the owner, Cal McNair, and him feeling that he was going to have input. It's not one thing, as I've been told many times. It's a culmination of all of those things affecting his, trust in the organization and how he feels about the organization. So it's not just one thing. So I would say the last is sort of finding out on social media. That's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, Dan, but it's not a situation where you say, man, that's it. No, it's just finding out about the DeAndre Hopkins trade on social media, basically not being consulted. That's, I would say, if you had one more thing, he just didn't feel like he was being treated like a partner of the organization. They feel like he's being treated just like a normal player in some cases. So that, bothered him, and it bothered him to the point that he requested the trade. And that's where they are. And that he's been steadfast in that, and he's not budging, not an iota.
Well, I know you got a lot of work ahead of you. Aaron, we appreciate you joining us, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan.
That's Aaron Wilson. He covers the Texans for the Houston Chronicle.